we have the HTC Raider here. This is the first LTE device released from HTC, and it's an Android 2.3.4 device, 4.5-inch QHD display, 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, 1 GB of RAM, 8 megapixel camera, and 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. So let's take a look through the device and see what it offers. So first we have the box here. Back of the device you can see all the relevant information, 16 gigs of internal storage. It's a little bit thicker than some of the latest devices at 11.27 millimeters, and it's pretty heavy at 177 grams, but you'll see in a second it's definitely worth it. You also have those LTE frequencies here, 700, 1700, and 2100 megahertz. It's got all the fixins, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. It's got DLNA, micro USB. With MHL compatibility, that means that you can actually buy a converter and hook it up to your TV with its HDMI connection. It records 1080p video, and it does not come with a micro SD slot because it comes with 16 gigs of internal storage. So let's wait no further. Here it is. It's actually a really nicely made device. It resembles a few of HTC's most recent devices, but it's pretty unique in its build. It's got this glossy plastic here on the sides, and it forgoes a lot of that single piece of aluminum design that the Sensation has, but it has this aluminum back cover here which you just lift to slide out, and that comes off. You can see this is a really hardy piece of aluminum here, really well made. It's got a 1620 mAh battery in there. You can see this is the Bell version, but this is also available on Rogers with an empty micro SD slot there. So you just stick that back on there, slide it down, and you're good to go. You can see the 8 megapixel camera has 2 LED flashes here. The volume rocker on the right hand side is very much to HTC's regular design specs. It's also got this long earpiece grill here. The 4 capacitive touch buttons. You got home, menu, back, and search in their regular order. And the star of the show here is the 4.5-inch QHD, that's 960 by 540 resolution display. Just to continue around the device, left hand side is naked. On the bottom of the device, it's also naked. We have just the microphone here. On the top of the device, we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and the power button. And I did not mention on the left hand side, sorry, it wasn't naked completely. Here is the micro USB port right at the bottom there. Okay, so we have Sense 3.0 here, familiar touch screen, home screen here. We've got your 4 shortcuts. Let's go right into the camera interface here. Just to show you, this is the same camera interface as we're used to with most HTC devices. You can grab the gallery from a shortcut right here. The 1.2 gigahertz processor is the MSM 8060, and this is running the Adreno 220 GPU. So it speeds along pretty well. It's got the same innards as the HTC Sensation, but with actually with HTC Evo 3D, because this has 1 gigabyte, sorry, of memory. See, the interface here is pretty familiar. You have your 7 home screens here with its carousel. Performance is, as I mentioned, extremely speedy. You won't really notice much of an improvement over previous dual-core generations. I did open up a few benchmarks just to show you. Smart Bench, the results are not actually all that great. We have 1875 for productivity and 1654 for games. You can see the Galaxy S2 at its stock. None of these are at their stock speed, so don't worry. It's more along the lines of something like this. 3861 is the regular Galaxy S2 score. So underperforms quite a bit in terms of benchmark performance. Velamo as well. You can see here it's pretty much in line with the Sony Xperia Arc, and it actually beats the Sensation typically in benchmark results here. We also have Linpack, and I will show you that in just a second. We got a between 63 and 69 for its multi-threaded megaflops. So you can see that it's a pretty capable device, but it doesn't break any new ground in terms of multi-threaded performance at all. I'm reticent to show you the results of Quadrant because I really don't trust the Quadrant results, but I will in this case. But don't take it as gospel here. It scores a pretty low 1893, but I'm pretty sure if I redid the test a few times I could get a much higher result. That's just because Quadrant is not a very reliable benchmark suite. So again, dismiss those results, but I know a lot of people would want them. So what we have here, we also have LTE support. Unfortunately, where I am, I don't get LTE connectivity, so I'll redo the test when I do. This does support 42 megabits HSPA+, and I will do a quick speed test benchmark just to show you. LTE typically offers between 7 to 10 megabits in the downstream and 3 to 6 megabits in the upstream. So this is getting pretty excellent results, actually. We're getting just above 10 megabits here. As far as I know, this is not connected to LTE right now. You can see the H over there will indicate that it's running HSPA Plus as opposed to LTE. And the reason that I believe it's HSPA Plus is because we're not getting, it would burst pretty high at the beginning with those higher speeds, but we are getting exceptionally high performance on Bell's network here. So even if you don't have LTE connectivity just yet, if Rogers or Bell hasn't hooked up your area with LTE performance, you'll get HSPA Plus in up to 42 megabits a second if they've enabled it. And if they haven't, Bell has deployed 21 megabit HSPA Plus over most of their 3G in Canada. So at the bare minimum, you'll have 21 megabits a second to work with. The other stuff that Bell offers here, it comes with full versions of Let's Golf 2 and Nova 2. These are GameLoft games. You have Telenav's GPS Navigator, and we also have Bell's remote PVR, as well as the TV and radio and tunes and apps. So everything is pretty much standard HTC fare here. We have since 3.0. Unfortunately, this has not been updated to 3.5, and I would suspect that it'll get updated to Ice Cream Sandwich at some point, although there have been no confirmations for that. To give you a bit of a comparison between this and the HTC Sensation, you can see the size is a little bit, let me just zoom out here. Excuse the fingerprints. This is a bit of a fingerprint magnet as well, but you can see the size is just a little bit bigger on the right for the Raider. This is a 4.5-inch screen, so the pixel density is going to be a little bit lower due to the fact that there's an extra 0.2 inches on the screen size. It's also a little bit heavier than the Sensation, even though it's made of mostly plastic. It's a much bigger device overall. It's a little bit thinner, in fact, so that's a good thing, but definitely not something that you can tell just by kind of comparing it like this. Placement of the 3.5mm headphone jack and the power button are the same, although the volume rocker is on the opposite side. You can see on the left-hand side the micro USB is placed pretty much the same, and the Raider is a little bit thicker as well on width-wise. So definitely a bigger device. It doesn't have that same curvature as the Sensation, so it's a little bit more awkward to hold. You can see that this kind of angles off here, and it does feel nice in the hand, but it's not quite as comfortable as the Sensation to hold. Also, it's a little bit bigger. It's going to be a little bit more cumbersome if you have smaller hands, but it's definitely a well-made device. HTC has gone a little bit astray with from their typical design here, and you can tell that they're trying to innovate and trying to make a new class of LTE devices. So this is probably the first of many LTE devices that will be released from HTC. We really like this device. I think it's a good first step. Unfortunately, performance is a little bit lackluster from the benchmark perspective, but from the general usage perspective, you know, HTC's got this down to a fine science. They've developed Sense to such an extent that it's extremely mature, very fast, and all of their apps are just great. They all look the same. This also has HTC's new watch service that will allow you to buy and rent movies for a fee, and with its LTE network, it will just blow you away with its speed. So that's another thing that we'll take a look at in a future video. Unfortunately, we do not have access to that right now. This is, I just want to see here, we also have the quick settings menu for the notification bar. You can see total memory here, 829 megabytes available, only 188 megabytes free. If I go into settings here, you can see the HD storage, storage, we have 8.83 gigabytes available and 3.62 internal. That's for apps, and you can always install your apps or games to the SD card if you have one. The other thing is that you can choose in your mobile networks to switch between GSM or that's HSPA Plus or GSM, HSPA Plus, and LTE. So that can go automatically there if you want to specify, because LTE will use more battery life. These chips are not yet optimized for usage the same way as the HSPA Plus chips are. So you're going to have a hit of battery life with when you are connected to the LTE network. Other than that, this is pretty much standard HTC. I'm just going to show you quickly here. We can go into the store, check out the prices of some of the movies that have just been released. For example, Horrible Bosses you can purchase for $19.99. You can rent new releases like Bad Teacher for $4.99. That's a 48-hour rental and 30 days to watch it in. That's pretty much it. So this is just a quick overview of the HTC Raider. This is the Bell version, but it's also available on Rogers. And this is probably the first LTE device that will be released on Bell and on Rogers there. For the next few weeks, there will be some other new devices being released on Bell, the LG I, the Samsung Galaxy S2 LTE is coming to Rogers soon. So there will be some competition out there, but this is a good first showing from HTC.